Sand lashes across Amani's face as he clings desperately to the side of a trembling windmill. The desert wind screams like a wounded beast, ripping at the metal blades until the entire structure groans under its fury, each creak sounding like the dying breath of his village. Below him, the cracked earth yawns open, thirsty and unforgiving. The pump sputters once, twice, and then releases a single drop of water. It falls slowly, catching the faint sunlight, glistening like a tear shed by the land itself. Amani's knuckles whitened around the shaking beam. The storm grows harsher, swirling sand into the air like smoke rising from a burning world. In a place where the earth forgot how to give, one boy risked everything to remind it. Before the storm, before the climbing, before the windmill ever stood against the sky, there was Amani, 15 years old, slender, quiet, always watching more than he spoke. His eyes missed nothing. Not the dust settling where crops once grew, nor the way the animals paced in restless, hollow hunger. The village around him was changing in ways no one wanted to speak about. Trees that once shaded their paths now shed their leaves like soldiers surrendering after a long, hopeless war. Houses near the outskirts sank slowly under advancing dunes, as though the desert was swallowing memories whole. Even the old wooden bridge had cracked down the middle, splitting like the trust between the land and the people who desperately depended on it. Tension clung to the air like heat. People argued in low, tight voices. Mothers filled water gourds only halfway. Elders whispered about relocation, about abandoning the soil their ancestors had blessed with generations of sweat and sacrifice. At the heart of the village, the well stood nearly dry. Each lowered bucket returned lighter, emptier, a hollow reminder that hope was evaporating as fast as the water beneath them. Amani's little sister coughed softly beside him, her breath thin and unsteady, a fragile symbol of everything they were quietly, desperately trying not to lose. He had grown up watching his father's hands, once strong and sure, work the fields with quiet pride. But now those same hands trembled with defeat. The crops no longer listened, no matter how early his father woke or how hard he pushed his weary body. Farming, once his identity, had become a daily mirror reflecting failure back at him. And Amani carried that weight too, silently, in the dim corner of their small home, where he kept notebooks filled with sketches, strange contraptions, spinning blades, hand-drawn gears, and towers touching the sky. Ideas that made his heart race, ideas that no one believed in. Villagers nodded politely when he spoke, but their eyes said everything else. Dreamer. Child. Not to be taken seriously. Even Amani began to wonder if they were right. Some nights he lit a candle to sketch, only to watch the flame flicker violently whenever desert winds slipped through the cracks. That trembling flame was him, hope trying to stand upright in a world eager to blow it out. Still, he cupped his hands around it, refusing to let the darkness win. The day everything changed began with a roar. A sandstorm swept across the village without warning, spiraling into a towering golden wall. The sky dimmed, houses shuddered, trees bent until their branches scraped the ground like fingers pleading for mercy. Amani watched in awe and terror as the storm twisted the world into a blur of flying sand and broken pieces. Hours later, when the storm finally collapsed into silence, the village looked like a battlefield. But among the wreckage and debris, Amani found what others walked past without seeing. A rusted motorcycle engine half buried in sand, torn metal sheets curled like abandoned skin skeins, and discarded fan blades glinting beneath the fading light. To others, it was trash. To Amani, it looked like possibility. Back home, the radio crackled weakly to life, broadcasting a documentary about communities using wind-powered pumps to draw clean water from deep underground. Amani froze completely. The idea struck him like lightning splitting a dry sky. If the wind destroys, maybe it can save. Amani began with small models, determined to understand the wind before daring to confront it. His first attempt, a slender wooden tower topped with tin blades, lasted only a moment before a sudden gust snapped clean in half, scattering the pieces across the sand like broken feathers. He stared at the wreckage, stunned but not finished. His second model looked sturdier, balanced carefully on 3 legs, but the moment the blades began turning, the entire structure wobbled violently and collapsed sideways with a pathetic thud. Nearby children erupted in laughter. "Your toys can't even stand," one teased loud enough for everyone to hear. The third prototype, crafted from scavenged metal, survived the spinning test, only to rust overnight. By morning, it drooped like a sick animal abandoned on the roadside. Adults walking past shook their heads slowly. "We need water, not toys," one muttered without breaking stride. Amani felt humiliation press against his chest like a stone. He knelt beside a wilted plant he had been secretly watering, its leaves shriveled despite his daily effort, mirroring his dwindling confidence perfectly. A broken wheel spun lazily nearby, mocked by the same restless breeze that had destroyed his work. His father watched one evening as another test failed. "Son," he sighed heavily, "dreams can't feed a family." The words hit like a blow. Amani clenched his fists, staring at the scattered pieces of yet another failure. Dreams don't feed us, but they can water what does. Something hardened inside him then. Not anger, but something quieter and far more dangerous to doubt. He gathered the fallen materials again, refusing to let the wind decide the future for his village. The next morning, an elderly man appeared quietly at Amani's side. Baba Isafu, retired mechanic, known for his limp and eyes sharper than most, studied the broken model without judgment. Then he looked carefully at Amani's sketches, turning each page with slow, deliberate hands. "Scrap metal only becomes useless," he murmured finally, "when the mind shaping it is." Those words cracked something open inside Amani's chest. Under Baba's patient guidance, he learned more in days than he had absorbed in years. Together, they shaped blades by firelight, hammering metal until sparks danced like tiny stars born and dying in seconds. They repaired gears using old bicycle parts, fitting each tooth together with quiet, satisfying precision. Baba spoke in riddles that somehow made perfect sense. Wind has moods. If you fight it, it wins. If you guide it, it serves. What followed was rhythmic and almost musical, failures turning into lessons and lessons turning into progress. Slowly, stubbornly, Amani's windmill was becoming real. Despite their growing progress, the land continued its slow death. Each sunrise revealed more wilted stalks, more shriveled leaves crumbling to dust at a single touch. The village elders, exhausted and frightened beyond argument, finally gathered beneath the old baobab tree and delivered their decision. They would relocate in 3 days. Amani felt the ground tilt beneath him. "Please give me those 3 days," he pleaded, his voice steadier than he felt. "Let the wind speak first." Reluctantly, and with little faith left to spare, they agreed. Most whispered that it was a waste of precious time they could not afford. What followed was a desperate race against the land's final countdown. Amani and Baba worked through every night, their silhouettes dancing in firelight as they hammered, welded, and tightened bolts against the howling dark. A scorpion crawled slowly across cracked soil nearby. Danger always close, always patient. The moon thinned, then grew again, quietly marking the hours disappearing. Amani's hands blistered, split, and bled as he pushed far past exhaustion. But he never stopped. 3 days, 1 chance, an entire village depending on a dream they hadn't chosen to believe in yet. On the final morning, they raised the windmill. It towered awkwardly, crooked in places, patched with mismatched metal, but it stood with an unmistakable, almost stubborn defiance. Amani wiped sweat from his brow as the village gathered in a wide, skeptical circle around it. The wind murmured at first, brushing gently against the blades. They twitched, turned, hesitated. Then a dust devil spun towards them, whipping sand violently into the sky. The windmill jerked as the gale struck, spinning faster than it was designed to handle. Gears rattled, a deep metallic groan cut through the crowd. Then, jam. Without thinking, Amani scrambled up the structure. Villagers shouted in panic below, calling him down desperately, but he climbed higher, wrapping blistered hands on scorching metal. The wind threatened to fling him entirely off as he finally reached the stuck gear. With one desperate, full-bodied shove, it clicked back into place. For a single suspended heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, Sputter, gurgle, roar. Water burst from the pump, spraying into the air like liquid sunlight. Children screamed with pure laughter, running through the spray with open arms. Adults fell to their knees, tears carving clean lines down their dusty faces. Amani collapsed beside the pump, trembling deeply. His father pulled him close without a word at first, then whispered against his head, "The desert heard you." The windmill's shadow stretched long and steady across the cracked fields, wide enough finally to offer shelter. Water began flowing through newly dug irrigation channels, threading across once dead fields like veins slowly returning life to a long exhausted body. Green shoots rose again, timid at first, then confidently, almost urgently. The entire community joined the work together. Men shaping ditches, women pressing seedlings into grateful soil, children carrying small bowls of water with enormous pride. Laughter returned to spaces where silence had lived too long. Visiting organizations arrived soon after, studying the windmill carefully and asking Amani questions with genuine, unhurried respect. He stood taller each time, teaching other young people how to bend scrap metal, read the wind's shifting moods, and trust the ideas living quietly inside them. The village that had nearly abandoned its home chose instead to stay and rebuild, roof by roof, meal by meal, seed by seed. In Amani's hut, the small candle that once flickered desperately against drought winds now burned steadily beside a bowl of fresh, clear water. Proof that hope, even when fragile enough to fit in cupped hands, can grow into something the wind itself cannot shake.